Section 11.4, the slope formula. We're going to talk about slope in here today. And today I have a special guest to help us with this lecture, and this is Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Hi, Mr. Meiskens. It's good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
All right, well, Alvin, let's go through a few things. I'll let you do one of the problems later on, and but let's start off and talk about slope just a little bit here. First of all, make sure we understand what we're talking about when we're talking about slope. First of all, we usually use the letter M to indicate slope, and we're talking about 2 points on a line. So we're going to have two XY coordinates, and we're going to compare basically we're comparing the steepness of this line. So if you think about a hill, we're comparing how steep the hill is, whether it goes up to the left or whether it goes up and to the right, and all of those are different. And here's our formula. The slope is equal to y2 minus y1, or a lot of times, I've seen it written where we talk about the change in y. A little triangle stands for the change in y over the change in x, or x2 minus x1. And there is one important thing. It says those two x values cannot be equal to each other. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about slope. Change in y, y2 minus y1, over change in x, x2 minus x1. It is important that you remember that because we're going to use that quite a bit. So let's take a look. It says find the slope of the line that passes through the points -1, -4, and 2, 2. So remember, we're going to call this one x1, y1. We're going to call this x2, y2. And so now we need to go the change in y. So this would be 2 minus -4, which would be add a positive, over -1 plus, oops, I'm sorry, not plus, minus, -1 minus 2. So this is going to equal +6 over -3, or -2 would be my slope. And I screwed that up royally. Well, Alvin, would you like to explain this one for the kids?
Sure, that'd be great. I'd love to do that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take these numbers right here. We're going to take that and call that first one x1, y1. The second one we'll call x2, y2. And what we want to do is take y2 minus y1. So it's going to be 2 minus a -4. So that would be 2 plus a +4 over 6. And the other one, we're going to say 2 minus a -1 or plus a +1. So that would be 3. So 6 over 3 equals 2. So my slope is 2. And you can tell that this is a positive number. When you have a positive slope, the slope goes from the bottom left to the top right. It heads up in that direction. That would be a positive slope.
All right, thanks, Alvin. Thanks for that help there. I'll take the next one. All right, so let's do another one. Let's say that we have the points 1, 2, and -4, 3. Once again, x1, y1, x2, y2, and we're going to take 3 minus 2, which is 1. We're going to take -4 minus 1, which is -5. So we've got 1 over -5, so my slope is equal to -1/5. And when we have a negative slope, notice that we have a hill that is higher on the left than it is on the right. So I kind of think of it, going up as we go to the left. Goes up to the left. That would be a negative slope. So the positive slope, remember, look like this. That's one that goes like this. This would be positive. This one is negative. All right, let's try another one. Alvin, why don't you do this one?
Okay, so if we have points -5, -1, and 2, -1, and we're going to find the slope of those, we're going to say, let's call this x1, y1, x2, y2, and we're going to say -1 minus -1. So add the positive, so negative, that's going to equal 0. And so for the x, it's going to be 2 minus -5, or 7. And I get 0 over 7, which of course simplifies down to 0. And we have a slope of 0. Slope of 0 is a line that goes straight across, goes through those 2 points. So you take -5, -1, 2, -1, you'll see that you plot a line that goes straight across, and the slope of that is 0. So a horizontal line, horizontal, has a slope of 0. See, there's kind of O's in horizontal, so it stands for 0.
Thanks, Alvin. I'll take the last one here. Let's do the undefined one here. This is the last possibility. What if the x values are equal? Remember, we said that we could not have x1 equal to x2. We said that wasn't right. Can't do that. So let's take a look at it, see what happens if we do that. So if we call this x1, y1, x2, y2, and if we take y2, -1, minus y1, minus 3, we get -4. If we take x2, 4, minus x1, 4, we get 0. So we get -4 divided by 0. Well, we can't do that. I mean, how many times is 0 going to -4? You're not allowed to divide by 0. That's kind of like one of the first rules. You can't do that. You know, you're not allowed to do that. So therefore, this is known as undefined. I cannot do it. So one that goes up and down, one that's vertical, is undefined. Okay, in your notes, I want you to do these 4 problems and write them down. All right, for A, you should get 3 minus 2, which is 1, 5 minus 2, which is 3, so 1/3 for my slope for A. For B, you get -3 minus 1, which is -4, you get 0 minus 0, minus -2, which is 2. -4 divided by 2 is -2 for the slope for that one. For C, we get 0 minus 6, or -6, and we get -5 minus -5, oh, plus positive equals 0. Oh, so we get undefined. Cannot do that one. And for D, we get 1 minus 1, which is 0, and 3 minus -1, so we're going to add that. Get 4. Doesn't really matter if I got 0 on top, so my slope of this one is 0. So there are my answers for those problems. You are now ready to begin. Alvin, thanks for helping us out today.
Oh, sure, Mr. Meiskins, no problem. It's glad to be here. You kids now get to work.